up, everyone? Before the episode starts off, just want to let you know, Volume 1 does have audio-only episodes on Spotify, iTunes, and wherever else you listen to podcasts. If you were on iTunes, if you could leave us a 5-star review, that would be awesome. And if you want to support Volume 1 on Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/volume1pod.
Oh, God. Oh,
Really?
All right, just focus. Just zoom in on here.
Really?
The Black Skull Knight says that.
No!
Hello. And welcome to another episode of Volume 1, the animated manga podcast where we usually review the first volume of a brand new manga each week. But today is our Part 3 final Golden Age arc video. And I'm just emotionally all over the place right now. My name is Josh Femto Michaels. And today, as always, I am joined by
Megan Eclipse Perrine.
Cody the Eggman Decker.
You know what, guys? You know, we got a lot of comments saying that we weren't ready for this. And I just got to say, I was not ready.
Yeah, I usually have stuff on in the background while I read manga, but I turned everything off and was like, oh, I was just really in the moment.
You know what? When you think it can't get any worse,
Yeah.
it gets worse.
Yeah.
It gets worse.
Yeah, it's insane. Like, just how everything has changed.
Yeah.
Everything's changed now.
You know, and we're going to save a little section of the episode at the very end to talk about our thoughts on this arc in its entirety and about some of its themes, obviously. But man, I cannot express to you just the emotions that I went through in this final part. You know, we specifically saved only 3 volumes to talk about so that we could, you know, spend more time just kind of going through everything. And I'm glad we did because I'm still kind of processing it as we're recording this. And I know we don't talk about things until we sit down in front of microphones. But yeah, how did you guys feel reading it? And now that it's done, now that it's over, how do you feel?
It felt like, I mean, I obviously knew just reading in the Black Swordsman arc in the beginning, like, you know something's up, you know something happened, and you're waiting for that build up, you're waiting for what's to come, and then when it finally like all unraveled, it was like insanity.
Yeah.
It was insanity.
The big thing for me was just over those volumes, like, I agree with, I have no sympathy for that guy, actually.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of I went through, like, a lot of being like, yeah, I mean, he always talks about his dream. It's like, you're kind of just a very selfish person, actually. I think because he's so pretty, people ignore that, like, I mean, his dream was to be a king.
Yeah, and no one really. Well, I don't want to say that. People did.
He would give very like beautiful speeches about what dreams doth do and stuff. But it was like, I mean, you're just a selfish narcissist.
Yeah, and I know in the last episode too, just because of like everything that was happening to him and where we left off, like I did start to feel really bad for him. But yeah, now knowing what I know, I do agree that like, yeah, it was so clear to me reading these final volumes that like I was going to say he wasn't really offering anybody anything. But I mean, I guess they were going to be in a better social, financial situation than they would have been. But still, like, you know, everybody was doing everything for him. Like he wasn't really.
Like when it made me think about when he like breaks into the princess's room and like does, you know, that thing and how he holds him like, oh, I can't believe I did that for the sake of my dream. But it's like, yeah, that is a very selfish reaction to like assaulting a teenager, to be like, I did what I had to do. Ah, man. Well, that's the end of my feelings on that subject of what I just did there.
That's a great point. It was all about him and how he was feeling.
Yeah, and he's like, but you know, because then he would do a speech about, we are but pebbles in our dreams, and like, you broke into a child's room.
Yeah.
And did that.
Yeah, I saw a lot of comments going back and forth. And by the way, at the end of this episode, we're going to address some corrections/comments just on the arc in its entirety. But yeah, man, we had a lot of comments going back and forth saying like, I do kind of sympathize and with Griffith, and there are other people saying like, I do not sympathize with this monster at all. And
there's I guess there's a solid volume that should make you not sympathize with him at all.
Yes.
And that's
and again, dude, and
we stopped right before that. So it is like, oh yeah, he's got like dreams and ambitions. It's good to have dreams.
And going back to what you said, like obviously we all know what's going to happen. We know where it's going to lead. So you kind of get ahead of yourself. And I think Miura obviously knows that the audience is going to start speculating as to what happened. So he has to exceed that. And boy, does he ever.
I was like, I don't know what I was expecting something else. I thought he would have. Like, he did get the opportunity, of course, but I thought he was just gonna, like, stand up and be like, oh, yeah, like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I thought it was gonna be, like, a big thing for him, but when it happened, it was not what I was expecting. It kind of just fell into his lap.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, here you are. Here's all the tools.
Yeah.
Do you, yes or no? And he was like...
Yeah, that was just, like, oh, you like, and they had all this talk about, like, oh, this army is like my family and all that. They're like, well, you'd have to like give that. He's like, okay, like he pathetically does it. Where he's like, yes, I mean, I remember my childhood. I had all these visions. Yeah, I'll sell out all my friends. It is like, he's always in his mind. Being like, I guess this is what I have to do. And it's like they literally just rescued you.
Well, I mean, he wouldn't have gotten to where he was without all of the people that were following him and helping him, and the people that died for his sake.
Beautifully portrayed in that chapter too.
Yeah.
Let's break it down. Let's kind of go through, starting from where we left off, which we left off right as Nosferatu Zod was sucked into that portal. Not Nosferatu Zod, the other beast. And
the horseman.
The devil dog leader.
The devil dog.
And
who became a gorilla man.
Yeah, who became the beast titan.
Monkey.
Became monkey.
He became monkey.
Who was just, all that was left was like the shell of an old man. And...
yeah, sounds like...
your future?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No monkey though.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll see. I couldn't. Like I said, I couldn't. It was so hard to stop reading. I almost couldn't do it. So I was excited to jump back in. And right away when we jump back in, it picks up in just despair. Like everybody's already in despair because they've not only seen Griffith, because the devil dog leader has shown them his mangled body, but he started talking about prophecies and calling them and, the Behelit or whatever, and just like all of these things. So everybody is kind of just very confused. Everybody is really sad, and everybody's just defeated.
Yeah, dude, that whole scene when Quercus is like, okay, like, let's wrap it up. Let me go talk to him. And he's like, no, you can't. He can't talk. And everyone's like, what? And they're like, yeah, so it's the situation. Griffith is not going to be able to do anything anymore. And Quercus has that breakdown where he's like, we were all doing this for him. We were all, like, literally, like, fugitives because of him. And we all worked to get him back. And now it's all for nothing. Yeah. Like, now you're telling me that we're not going to get back to where we were. It's over. Like, it's pretty much over.
Yeah, that's the shout out to that kind of character, because he does have the realistic response. He's like, oh, so this is meaningless.
Yeah, like everything that we just did is meaningless, and all the like other soldiers' faces, like the Band of the Hawks, are just like in just what?
Yeah, they're in
despair, disbelief,
yeah,
disdain towards what they've accomplished and what they're going to do now. Like everyone's so lost, and it's all due to like Griffith not being Griffith anymore.
That's what happens when you put your dream fire in the inferno of another's dream.
You get burnt.
You get burnt.
When you become fuel for someone else's dream fire.
Yeah,
you are but
seconds away from
kindling.
Right. We'll punch that up. But yeah, and so everybody's looking to Casca because Casca's been their leader for the past year, and Casca doesn't know what to do. I mean, I think in her heart, you can tell that she knows what has to happen, but she just can't either bring herself to say it or hasn't got there yet. But
yeah, and she's so strong. She's just like, we're gonna figure this out. Like, just hang tight. Like, we'll figure it out. And Gus is like, what is there to figure out?
Well, no, I think her initial like response, like what she wanted to say was like, that's it. Like we're done. What do you mean? There's nothing next. There's nothing. But Guts, and I think that's when Guts was gonna get up and say like, what do you mean? We have to finish fighting this fight. But then she just stops him and says like, I need some time. Let me just think about some stuff. Because I think, Guts just, and I guess what drives him as a character is he moves from one fight to the next, and he doesn't stop until he's done fighting. But yeah, so everybody's looking at Casca. Nobody really knows what to do. Casca is tending to Griffith in the little caravan. And
Griffith. This is when it becomes like, oh, for sure, Griffith is a real jerk.
I just thought like I didn't take like at first I was like, whoa, what the fuck's gonna happen here? And it's like this fucking guy can't even move his limbs, like nothing's gonna happen. It was like just wants a hug, like he's just so like shattered. And maybe it was a tactic where he's like, if I do this, maybe it'll like put her back in the mindset of only being mine, because he sees moments between Guts and Casca throughout this whole time that they're together, because now they're together kind of now, so he sees like them love each other, and he's just not happy about it. He does not look happy about any part. His eyes are like going through the mask every time they do a little bit of affection, or like Guts is like hugging her. He's just not happy about that. Not at all. Everyone's moving on without him.
The impression I got were, because he's remembering, oh, I used to be super strong, and people are saying, oh, he can't do anything now. And then it looked like him desperately trying to assert power over Casca.
I think that,
which, that's not unfounded.
Right, and it could have been some just like horrible foreshadowing too, some sinister foreshadowing.
I mean, that's why it's like, I mean, if you were, based on what he does later, it does seem like he was like, I'm gonna do this to make myself feel powerful again.
I don't know, because she kind of is just like, okay. Like, he's just, like, laying on top of her. She's like, okay, buddy, it's okay.
Well, I think
she's like, stop.
Well, when it first happens.
Well, and then he's like, fucking skin and bones, and then.
Which is weird, because I do want to talk to you guys a little bit while we're here, before we move on to kind of what really happens at the end of this, is Griffith has he does see Guts and Casca talking, and he does this whole time he hasn't been able to speak, but which I think is awesome from a writing point of view, because you get to just see the look in his eyes and wonder what the fuck is going on in his head. But yeah, he sees them talking, and then later he has this like sort of daydream about him and Casca and a baby or a son that they have.
Yeah, named Guts.
And I think the dog's name was Pippin.
Yeah.
And I to you, does that mean that, given what he did in the caravan with Casca as well, does that mean to you that he had like more than just professional feelings for Casca?
That's why. I mean, like, he's remembering how powerful he used to be, and you see how he does have fantasies about being with Casca.
Yeah.
And then he like jumps on her.
I mean, I think it's a big power thing too, because like she's always been there for him, and always has been like his right hand, like he could do anything, and Casca would be right up there to back him up. But now he's seeing, oh, I'm probably gonna lose her to Guts, and I'm not gonna have this person in my life anymore. I already lost Guts.
Yeah,
he's here, but not really. And Casca is not my sword anymore necessarily. So he's just like freaking out on both ends. And I think it's just like a dominance thing to one person, like, because he doesn't really have that connection with any of the other Band of the Hawk except for Guts and Casca.
Yeah, because how I saw it is he never really, at least when I read earlier chapters, I never really felt like he had a romantic interest in Casca at all. If anything, I felt like he had more of a romantic interest in Guts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just because how he was so enamored by him and just obsessed with him. But I think that can easily be, morphed and change into something else.
There's also might be he never really had to like worry about losing her as like an option.
Yeah, exactly.
Until Guts came along, and now it's like, oh, but I was gonna marry her.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And now it's too late.
She was sort of just like I mean, she'll do whatever I say.
Yeah.
She's like a pet.
Yes. And now that he doesn't have that, and he's knowing that he lost all his power, and he lost his power over people, suddenly he starts,
freaking out.
Yeah.
Which is why it's like, this guy, having a dream on its own isn't really a noble thing. Because you can talk about how much you want to win that actually doesn't make you a good person.
No, but and it's his dream. It's how he's living his life. It's how he's going forward. But the only way he's able to attain it is through other people.
Mm-hmm.
Like he didn't do any of this by himself at all. It's just the way he looked, the way he led. Of course, he was a good leader. He knew strategies and stuff. But there would have been nothing without people helping him. Without the Band of the Hawk. Without all these other people. Like he would have just been another fucking commoner, mercenary, and that would have been the end of it if they had no one else to help him. Yeah. So that's why they show him all of the things to ramp him up to be like, you need to do this in order to attain your dream. Like, this is the only way that you'll ever get the chance again to do this. So yes or no. And of course he's gonna be like, yes. Like, it's like, what are fucking the hundreds of men that they showed all dead in front of him? Like,
but he does seem to kind of struggle with it for a little bit.
Yeah.
Which I'm not giving him credit for struggling for 5 minutes about massacring everybody.
About sacrificing all these people you always talked about mattered to you.
Yeah.
And then turned out ultimately we're just pawns to you. So,
but
I mean,
yeah.
Imagine if I thought for 5 minutes about letting you die, and I was like, "What?" I just thought about it.
I struggled a little bit. Give me a break.
We all.
Yeah. If Cody struggled for 5 minutes, I'd be like, wow, he really did care about me.
No, see how much he cared? He thought about it before he did it.
For Cody, that's a long time. That's a long time.
So after the caravan little tidbit with Casca and Griffith, she comes out. She's
all your bones cracked just now.
Me?
Yeah.
She's getting ready, dude.
I'm like Griffith right now. Oh, look at my arm. Anyway, so Casca's crying. She's just so distraught, like seeing this man that she's loved for as long as she can remember, respected, just a little gravel of just bones.
Yeah,
and
I also
flesh.
don't like how like she immediately out of the gate starts defending him, and all these people have sort of resigned to the fact like there's still a large group of people, whether they've said it out loud yet or not. Casca, I think, represents a large portion of them in saying that like we can't leave him like this. Like we're not gonna abandon him like just because he doesn't have the same power, just because he's not the same Griffith. Like it's still him.
Yes, much like how Guts, his first leader, his father figure, even when he was crippled, he was still the leader of the mercenaries.
Yeah, yeah. He like that. No, they don't want to abandon him. Like they still want to take care of him. And I also really didn't like how Casca immediately. I understand why she did it, but how she immediately defended him when she's crying and Guts is like, "What's wrong?" And then she's like, "Don't worry about it. It's nothing." He's like, "What? What's wrong? Talk to me." And she's like, no, like she's defending Griffith. She's not going to tell Guts about what just happened.
He's like, "Did Griffith do something?"
Yeah.
I'm gonna go in there, and she's like, "No."
Yeah.
It's like, bruh.
But
he did.
Yeah.
Beat his ass.
He
before what?
He ends up
While you still
fantasizing
can.
Before some sort of
While you still can,
solar
Guts beat
event
his ass.
occurs.
Yeah, dude. He ends up having this other fantasy about seeing the younger version of himself running through the back alleys of the town that he came from, and that causes him to start the carriage and he takes off. And everybody is just sort of like, how the fuck did he do that?
Yeah. Yeah, right. He hijacks the caravan while they're talking about how to handle, and also what was Griffith doing earlier, and then he like just falls into a puddle or something.
Yeah. So then it Guts goes after him, and then everybody goes after Guts going after him, and then he's just reliving his childhood, and he's remembering the castle and all of these things, all of these dreams that he had, and he hits a rock, gets flung out of the carriage.
Yeah, I was like, dang, he's really moving. And then it was like, oh, he fell out.
Yeah, and he's in
wrecked.
that puddle or that pond or that river or whatever, and he's looking down. He finds the behelit is. I found out how the right way to say it.
Oh, it's behelit?
Yeah.
Oh, we look real dumb.
Yeah. And he finds it and
what the behelit?
What the behelit?
There we go.
Yeah, he finds it and he sees the spike sticking up, and similar to how Guts was at the end of his rope with the wolves and was gonna just end everything, he can't. Like at the last minute, like he kind of goes to the side and it just like ends up cutting the side of his neck. But I just thought that was interesting how even in that moment, like he can't just die.
Yeah.
What I did like about his character is he was like telling Guts to like get back. So it was like he probably knew what was going to happen. So I did like how he was like get away because I don't want you involved in what's about to happen. I thought that was a redeeming moment for him.
You think he knew that was he was about to summon those creatures?
I don't know. He must have had like some like feeling because he's like, if you fucking come now, if you put your hand on my shoulder, like that's it. Like that's it. Like and he came in to help him.
It was either like get back, don't touch me, like I'm going through something right now, or it was the way I took it was get back, otherwise you're gonna get involved.
Yeah, I took it as a little bit. I did read it a little bit that way, but I like he could have known what was about to happen or had a feeling that something bad was about to happen or something grand was about to happen. But I also read it as like he felt so weak. He felt so vulnerable. He also had so much pride. Like I feel like, the reason he ended up taking off in the first place is because he overheard Guts and Casca having that conversation about like taking care of him and how
Guts staying and Casca staying for his behalf.
And then Guts, her telling Guts like you have to leave. Like remember what you said.
And that's what I don't. Everyone's telling him to leave. Like Judo's like, you gotta go, and Casca's like, you have to leave. He came back, and he's realizing like what he had when he left. He was like, this is all I fucking wanted. Why do I realize? And there's a line. He goes, why do I realize what I have until it's gone? Yeah.
You don't know what you got. Till it's gone.
That's where the song came from.
Gone. Oh, is that a Berserk reference?
It's a Berserk reference.
But everyone's just telling him to leave. And they're like, you have to go. He's like, what the fuck? He's just going to go train again. What other meaning does he have in his life but to kill?
I didn't get at all why they were saying you have to go.
I know.
I think it's just because, like, when they believe in his dream, I think. And I think there are a lot of people like the Raiders who were going to go with him, which I thought was nice.
Oh, yeah.
They all decided, like, we're all in agreement, not a single one of us. And then he's like, Gaston, what about your clothing shop? And he's like, no, man, I'm a hawk, dude. And like, let's go, And, that was another really beautiful moment. And I guess because, these are people, and Casca even says it, these are people who, I forget the exact verbiage, but their purpose is, they find purpose in others' purpose, I guess. Like they latched on to Griffith's dream, and I think they're just they just need to believe in somebody. They need to believe in something. And so they're like, whatever it is, man, like find it, dude. Like figure it out, like for all of our sake. Like even if we're not going to go with you, like you accomplish what you want to accomplish, because I think they've also witnessed everything be taken from somebody, and how maybe like
also we saw how that last dream worked out, so I think we're ready to do a different dream now.
Yeah, maybe eat something different before you go to bed to get a different dream.
Yeah, just don't have sex with any underage princesses, okay?
Yeah, no. Why?
It's so like I still can't get that out of my head that like the whole reason this happened is he did that.
He felt betrayed. He was shook at Guts's betrayal because he really thought
that he broke into a teenager's room.
He thought that because again we talked about it, like he wanted to speed up the process of like her falling in love with him, and then that would be it, and then maybe he was like trying to get like a baby, and that way they had to be together. Because in that day, if like,
but I think the more the longer, or the more distance I have from that situation, the more I realize that like he would have never been able to be with that princess ever. Even though his plan was expedited,
the dad wouldn't have allowed
there was
it.
Never a world in which that king would have let her be with anybody. But anyway, so he feels in that moment, I think he feels like, don't touch me, like I don't want your sympathy. I did read it a little bit like Get Back, and Griffith was maybe mourning the loss of this like friendship with Guts, but he also, I did kind of maybe get this vibe that he was like, I don't need, like, just if you touch me, like I will never be able to like respect you. I will never be able to like look at you the same way, because like I don't need you. I don't know. And maybe I'm not even saying that right, but I did feel like there was a lot of pride in like what he was saying, a lot of pain. I think you
said it wrong.
I think I said it wrong.
But
you get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying, which is like if you touch, I think you meant the opposite, where if Guts touches him in this state, like he won't see him as how he was. And he would rather people. Yeah, that's what you meant. Yeah, this is the whole reason this podcast started.
That's why Cody follows me everywhere, even when we're not recording. just to
everywhere you go,
just to punch up my everyday speech.
Yeah, you're like talking to random people, and Cody around the corner is like, actually, he meant.
Yeah,
what
and
he
I'm
meant
like,
to say.
Thanks, Cody.
Yes. Yeah. He meant this word.
They're like, who the fuck is this?
Just someone looking out for an old friend.
And then he finds the behelit. The blood runs down his neck and arm and into the egg, and it awakens it. Now,
and this is when the climax happens.
Yes, the third act. And seeing it, like, I'm going to talk a little bit about the movies. I have a bombshell that I might drop a little bit later. But watching the egg sort of awaken in the movie was a really cool visual.
Yeah, I really did like how they like portrayed Eclipse in the movie versus like the anime. It's very like subdued in the anime. I mean, it's still scary, but in the movie it was like, oh, this is pretty accurate. Yeah. It's pretty good. That's where the 3D animation really popped.
It really did
for me.
Because watching it awaken, like you just see all the eyes and mouth and nose. In the manga, just kind of it goes from that panel to the panel of the eyes open and the blood coming from the eyes. But in the movie, it starts vibrating and it starts like almost like jiggling a little bit, and then the nose slowly moves, and then the eyes like everything kind of slowly comes into position.
Now, reading it, the impression that I got with the face the egg makes where it's crying is like, was that supposed to be a reflection of Griffith?
Well,
or is that just how it activates?
Well, what we kind of found out in the arc. In the Black Swordsman arc, but is more clear now is that the egg is only awoken when someone is in despair. I didn't think it necessarily needed to be despair. I thought it just someone needed
blood.
Honestly,
I thought blood was it.
Yeah,
or just like something
desperate.
Yeah, desperate, like desperation, like someone that needs something, not like sadness, but it could be. I mean, it's emotions.
In order to use it, you have to need it.
Yeah, and I think it's a reflection of that despair.
Okay,
is what that face is, and
because then you see him like he's crying blood too.
Yeah, and Jesus Christ, man, that's when everything goes south for everyone. This is when
I had like something playing in the background. This is when I turned it off, and I was just this was a very grand, epic scene.
Yeah, man. I mean, the eclipse.
Not to say what happened was epic, but in the older sense of the words.
Yeah. Yeah, the eclipse happens, and everybody's immediately sort of transported to this other dimension.
Yeah, and I read somewhere that Tatsuki Fujimoto, shout out to him. He said that, like, if he depicted hell, like he like experienced hell or whatever, it would be the eclipse.
Yeah, it's so,
which is crazy to think about because we've seen some crazy panels in Chainsaw Man that are very disturbing with the astronauts and like all of that shit, like very off. But this was like even what
I was just. I was ready. I was on guard for you to give a spoiler for Chainsaw Man.
No. That's like the most seen. Everyone sees that.
No, yeah.
And what my plan now is to just smack the microphone out.
Did you say smack me?
Well, no. Whoa. Whoa.
Okay, that's not okay.
Whoa, no. That's not what I meant.
Well, dude, no, we wait to hit each other till the cameras stop.
That's true.
But yeah, he. The way that he depicted hell and that universe, and just like it was like otherworldly, and it was just like dark, but it was like haunting. It was so, I mean, even in media you've seen like hell or versions of hell depicted, and this was just so like, I loved everything about the faces that made up the entirety of the landscape.
Yeah, there was like no glimmer of hope.
No, I mean,
like it was hopeless. You could feel it. You were there. Like, imagine seeing that. And
yeah, it was great seeing high school.
So stupid. The faces I don't know.
Yeah.
The demons I have to face in my high school on my high horse. But Casca's just the best girl. She's like, everyone stay calm, even in that situation. She's like, we're gonna do this, get your formations, blah blah. And Berserk, because it's like, damn, that's my girl right there. I fucking respect the shit out of that woman. Like, he says, wow, what a woman. Or like, oh,
I like how she legitimately is a good leader.
She is, because she's learned everything from fucking Griffith's bitch ass.
Yeah, she's a good leader, dude. But I think, this whole arc reveals everything about everybody. And I think the thing about her is that she, like, what she reveals is that she either it's because she never believed in herself enough, or maybe, I don't know. Other people believe in her, but I feel like she always needed somebody. She always wanted to be or have somebody. Like I felt like with Casca, like she never felt like she was worth enough on her own.
Well, because she was fucking sold. That was one of her major stepping stones in life.
Yeah.
They're like, we
I
don't want
get
you.
Why she felt that
yeah,
way.
like abandoned, and then this person comes in on this fucking horse and gives you a meaning to your life. Like, she's always wanted to be by Griffith's side or have someone like Griffith to follow. So when she found Guts, and that's like a situation where she's like, oh, I'll go with you or whatever, but now it's kind of complicated. But I totally see how she is like dependent on someone else's dream, just like everyone else in the Band of the Hawk. Like they need that.
And the way that these creatures kind of come out and the way the hand of the god is revealed is so epic and so awesome. And in the movie, they did a really good job of bringing them to life, because you see this landscape of faces, these what look like, titans, these like giant, naked, deformed creatures that are on that like uncanny valley of looking like almost human, not quite monster. And they're coming towards Griffith and like this like army behind him. And then the first hand of the god member, like she gets up and she like rises up from like one of these mountainous faces.
They're like
the
giant.
down. And it like in the manga it was really cool, but in the movie it was just like you felt like the scale, the epicness of these people and who they are and what they represent, the power that they wield. It was really cool, and their designs too are all so cool. The coolest reveal though is the guy Void, who is like, it's the eclipse, and then his head sort of kind of like the clouds kind of part and his head becomes the eclipse, and then he kind of comes out of it, or it's like a backdrop to him sort of coming out. I mean, it was just, you really felt like, oh
yeah, you
shit.
see everyone in the Band of the Hawk like, oh, we're dead. Like, I bet they're like, we're dead. This is a dream. Like, Corcus is like, is this real?
Someone says, is this real life?
Is this real? Like, oh my god, and like, oh, it's so disturbing, and it's so unfortunate that they're put in this position.
Yeah, and they, Casca is kind of getting them into formation, but they don't really stand a chance. I think they know that, and they summon Griffith up to where they're at, their level, by manipulating the landscape of these faces, and Guts just kind of, first he grabs Griffith, and then falls, and then just like starts stabbing, and something about that too, like when you're on a cliff,
like stabbing through faces.
Yeah.
If you're at the edge of a cliff doing that, you're like, oh, that's kind of epic, but you don't really feel it. But when it's faces, it's just, it brings a whole nother level to it.
And I love too, they're talking, they're all like grand beings, they're huge, they're terrifying, they're just awful things, and they're like, yes, you are the chosen one, blah blah, and he's like, shut the hell up. Yeah. He's not going with you. You guys are fucking idiots. Yeah. Stop talking. No, he's not going with you. I've seen this guy naked before. Yeah. I know him better than you guys, so he's going with me, and he's still trying to fight it. Like, he's the only one brave enough to say anything to these like out of this world beings. Like, he's just like, no, you're not taking him. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they realize that's the bond that they have, and how important that's gonna be.
She's like, ooh, this is interesting. The big lady, she's like, this is perfect.
Yeah,
good for you,
like,
Griffith.
oh, we can use this.
Yeah, this will be awesome for the next page.
We have a whole thing about this.
Hey guys, look at this one.
Then they like encapsulate him in this like dome or this sphere, and Griffith starts reliving his childhood again, and that's when we get this like beautiful depiction of the manifestation of his dream, this reality that exists in his mind, according to one of the other Godhand members. And the reality of his consciousness, I think, is sort of what they call it. And for him to have literally a road paved in corpses to get from the back alley where he was born and raised to the castle. And not only do the corpses of his friends help pave that road, but it's also like the tens and thousands of whatever enemies that it took
that he killed
and that the Band of the Hawk killed to get there.
That's really the final point to be like, yeah, Griffith's not really a good guy, because he's finally like, worth it.
Yeah, he used all of them, and I did like how he was depicted as a child, because at that point he hadn't really gotten to anywhere with his dream. He just kind of dreamt it like children do, and it's showing him oh, this is what you did. This is what you did as an adult. This is all your life. All these people. This is what you accomplished, and that's how you get to this point. Yeah, so do you want to go to the castle?
But he didn't go there, and he wasn't like, you're damn right I did. No, he in that moment, he felt he had to come to terms with it. He hadn't really, I don't think, maybe he had kind of known it, but he never really thought of it, about it, or lingered on it, or accepted it. He had just thought that was a part of just accomplishing his dream, but never really factored in the amount of human lives that were being sacrificed for him. Again, he probably did have that thought, but had never really.
Yeah, it's interesting that part of this process is these demon wards make you accept what you've done.
Yeah.
So it's I think usually they're oh, we're gonna make you just blindly enjoy this life, but they go I mean, this is what you do. This is really this is what you're actually doing. Beyond your lofty dreams. This is what you're killing people.
And that's what we kind of saw too in the Black Swordsman arc with the Count. They kind of showed him oh, you did this. It's for a reason. You have to sacrifice someone that you really love, because we're not just let you go scotch-free. And I thought really
scotch-free.
Scot-free?
Sounds like
Sorry.
Josh for the past
2 years. 2 years, man.
Yay!
Thanks.
Anyway, that was really good. Sorry. Fuck, I forgot what I was gonna say.
How about they confronted? They made the Count confront.
Yes. I thought
actions.
that just because they kept saying the chosen one, the child that was always supposed to be once you have the Behelit.
Yeah.
It'll always come back to you because that you're the person for this. I thought it was just gonna be such an easy transformation, and he didn't really get to maybe have a choice, or it was just Guts that was getting sacrificed, and it wasn't that.
That's
at all.
what I like too about and it didn't dawn on me really until you said it, but yeah, you know how there's jinn or genies that will trick you into wishing for things, but these creatures, these beings, these demons they don't lie to you, they don't bullshit, they make you confront the reality of
this it's the opposite of tricking you. It makes you accept who you are.
Yeah.
And they even say that at the end, this is who you are. You know.
And it's not demons oh, we've warped your past to make you think that. No, it's this is what you did. You belong here.
Yeah, which is so fucking cool, because I've never really seen it handled in such a beautiful way, and I think they even tell him that he has to accept it before he can transcend.
Yeah, that's what's interesting about it. Is that what their process throughout the 2 times we've seen it is making them accept who they are as people before they get to use the power.
Yeah, the scope of their sins.
Yeah. And so he kind of has that moment with that which again, I don't know if I'm just reading into things, but where he met that old woman in the alley, and she's sewing, and I just thought that was another tie to potentially threads and causality and destiny, how she's sewing things in this alley, and she's the one who tells him about the road of corpses and everything, everything that had to happen for him to get here. And I don't even know if it's here or a little bit after this, where it's also revealed that Behelit's a lot of people get them, but there's only one egg of the king, and that is a specific, the Crimson Behelit that is only
when we're looking for a new member.
Yeah, when we need a new member.
Yeah. The other ones are oh, you can make a deal with us.
Yeah, that's what all those fucking demons are. That's what the Horseman was. They all had one and they used that, but he has the special egg.
Which I guess I had a theory, and I just realized that it's probably not.
Let's hear it.
No. I'll save it for when this character comes in.
No.
But yeah, so he does finally accept it, but while he's going through all of that, you have the Band of the Hawk just being slaughtered and massacred.
It was I liked the momentum in that scene, because they're running, and so it's Casca, and some people of the band they come in and they're we'll hold it off here, run, and you see the back and forth of trying to escape and fighting, and then every now and then you will cut back to Guts, who is just. This is where I'm oh, this is who this guy is. This is when he's the Guts that people know.
The despair, the most like the betrayal they all must have felt like fighting for this man, and now they're in the situation where they can't win. Like, they've always won. Like, they're unbeatable. The Band of the Hawks against man. Yeah, and now it's like...
But I think there's only a few of them who even blame Griffith for what's happening. I think most of them are just confused. Most of them are just scared. Like,
that's even worse.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It is way worse.
That's even worse because they're still blindly saying he hasn't done anything wrong.
That's why it's like a highlight for Casca as a leader, because she no one besides maybe even Griffith knew what was happening. So like that she just went, all right, get in formation. Yeah. I mean, that's a highlight for her as her.
Yeah, she said we can't focus on the things we don't understand. We just have to focus on what we can do, kind of. And it's just like a great rally.
Which is nothing.
Yeah.
Which is nothing. But still get in formation.
Yeah, and we see them like completely like go from humanoid-esque to like the most horrible looking things, and like just eating the Band of the Hawks and chasing after them, and you just being like, oh, tasty sacrifices. Like, this is the best. They're having fun. Like, they love this shit.
Yeah. And the demons mention like everyone's gonna die. Like, it's not even like kill the knights. They're like your sacrifices. It's not like a magic spell that like kills you, but we're just gonna kill you.
Yeah.
And it's very like formal the way they like treat it.
We see, Pippin. Yeah. We see him fighting him off, and then we see in the distance she's running away with Judo, and
dude, their whole little last thing.
Judeu.
No,
it is Judo. We said Judeu.
We'll talk more about it in the correction.
It's Judo. Corner. Yeah, and then she gets on the horse with him, and her and Judo are getting out there, and it's like it's horrible.
Yeah,
it's
he had a really nice send off, and almost admitted again. And I'm not saying I don't get it. I get it. If I lived in that world, I'd probably be in love with Casca too. But man, everybody's in love with Casca.
Well, she's the one female in a group of like 200
that's
mercenaries.
True, but she's also a badass.
She's also a badass.
Bitch,
yeah.
So everyone would love her, and she's just the best. And everyone respects her, and he just
And it finally made sense why Corcus had been there the whole time. It finally made sense. It all added up.
There was a comment that we got. It was like, "You will cry for Corcus," and I was like,
I mean, I didn't really cry for him.
I didn't
honest.
cry.
I mean,
he gets a moment, which
is
is
sad though.
When that kind of character gets a moment, you're all like, yeah, that's a nice thing in a story.
Yeah, I mean, he had a brief moment where he was a little likable, but at the end of that, he's just face deep in some titties all over again.
Yeah, and then he dies.
Yeah.
Death by,
titties,
not bad.
Dies the opposite way that we see Guts being introduced in the first.
Pretty sure that was the same girl.
Yeah. That's what was it?
Nah, maybe.
No. But I think it was. I think it was.
Yeah, Corcus gets seduced by a demon.
I love how he's just like, oh, there's a woman here. Cool.
Middle of a battlefield.
Yeah, I mean, everybody is convinced that they're dreaming, and Corcus especially. That's the only reason why I think he even did that. But I mean, it's just heartbreaking to see them all go out the way that they go out. I mean, you think that so many times throughout the story, I thought this is where Pippin's gonna get got. This is where Judo's gonna get got, and then they all survive. They survive all of that to just be slaughtered here and sacrificed here. But after that, you kind of don't see Casca for a while, because after the Judo dies,
she gets grabbed.
Yeah, she gets grabbed.
Because they're all trying to like stop her from being captured, because the demons are clearly like going for her.
And they admit in that moment too, like, the Band of the Hawk is not splitting up. We're not like, we still, as long as you're alive, as long as we're alive, like, we are sticking together. Which is this, like, they're reaffirming what they were doubting earlier. Like, are we even a thing? Are we even going to be here after Griffith? But in this moment, when push comes to shove, they're like, we're together and we will always be together. And it's just sad because of what happens next. But yeah, so this whole time too, Guts is fighting off, his attackers that are horrific creatures. And there are, in these moments, again, it's so easy to take Miura as like artwork for granted the more you keep reading and reading and reading. But it's like here again that you're like triply reminded, like, oh my God, like there are some pages that are full page spreads where I like physically felt things. Like, you can say that you feel a certain way, a scene will make you feel sad or you'll root for somebody, but like, I would just turn a page in the deluxe edition and and I would just like, it would make me like almost just like sick with just like how like talented and how like visceral and how just like everything, like the way that like he's able to use lines to just make me feel like this gut reaction.
Guts reaction.
This guts reaction. Yeah.
You could feel like the emotion that Guts is going through, like how they've gotten to this point and what's happening he can't really deal with right now, but he's got to fucking just kill and kill again and again to save this man that
is not worth saving.
No. And he's like, he's my friend, like I have to go through this and
read the room, Guts.
read the room, Guts. You don't get it. And it's just so sad. It's just also like just horrifying.
Yeah. So anyway, Griffith sort of wakes up, right? And he's no longer Griffith. He is now Femto. And God, this is going to be so hard to get through. So he immediately kind of, because Guts is in the middle of fighting all of these creatures, and they are immediately all silenced as Femto is born. They all sort of look to him are in awe of their new king.
Demon King.
We got the fifth.
We got the fifth.
And he comes down, and we see him with Casca.
Now, going in, I thought like this was part of the conditional to gaining this power.
Nope.
So I thought it was like, oh, so he had to brand Guts, and then he had to do that to Casca or some ritual. I don't remember them saying anything. He sort of just does it.
Oh, he does it. No, he wants to do it. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
which
the
is
whole point.
why, when he like jumped on her when he was in that weakened form, that was him. That's what he wanted to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also he's done that before. So
yeah.
I mean, this is an established part of his character that he will force himself on people.
Yeah, and it's, obviously we didn't state it specifically, but everybody does have the brand now too, and Casca has one on her chest, and obviously that's how Guts gets his, and that's why everybody's being attacked, because they're all sacrifices. And now we just know a little bit more about that now, and what exactly that means. But anyway, we just forgot to say that. He grabs Casca, and it is just, I don't know how to describe it. I've only felt a small version of this one other time in my life through one other source of media, and I'll get to it in a little bit. But yeah, he picks her up, and he immediately, I don't even know how to say it. I don't even know how to get into this because of just like the amount of emotions that I felt.
Like grabbing her and right in front of Guts. Like Guts is like on the floor. He has his arm. Okay, first of all,
Guts is like being like dragged by demons trying to stop it.
Yeah, his arm is in a demon's mouth, and he's just watching this horrific thing go down. And Griffith just proceeds to have sex with Casca. I would call it, rapes Casca.
I mean, he rapes Casca.
Yeah.
She's half awake. She doesn't know what the fuck's going on. And all the demons are like, this is fucking awesome. This is the devil's work right here. We love this shit. This is demonic as fuck. Like, this is power.
All we do.
This is power. And he just is doing, like, he wants Guts to feel as betrayed as he felt when he left him. He wants Guts to feel pain.
I almost see it as like, I don't even think I just think he wants to torture Guts. Like,
yes.
I don't think he wants, I don't even think in his mind now he's thinking like, I want you to feel the way you made me feel. I think he's just like above all that. He's like, I just want you to suffer. Because like
he's demonic.
Well, but no, because he still has that connection to Guts.
Yeah.
But he's just like, I fucking hate you. I imagine, or maybe I don't know, because he has just like, there are a couple things that make it horrifying. It's horrifying at its core, but there are a couple things on top of it that make it more horrifying. It's Griffith's fucking stare the whole time, and his lack of emotion. Like, he does look like he's full of anger and maybe he has a little bit of like triumph in his eyes too, but it's just like this look of like, for the most part, it's stoic, and he's just he's not breaking eye contact with the whole time. He's like raping Casca, and then on top of that, because Casca's like out of it and doesn't know exactly like where she is or what's going on, like she starts like she's not into it at all, but just because of her confusion and this like daze, like even in the movie,
the anime, like just no, it's just music or like some talking over it, but in the movie it's like
silent.
It's in the anime
movie it's silent.
Oh, it's no music, and it's just it's just Casca.
You just hear stirred mac and cheese, if you know what I mean. And,
That's disgusting.
That's disgusting.
I'm just trying to think of a PG way
And
to say
all of-
it.
that was worse than than what you could have just said.
That was worse.
But all the demons are like, yes, this is amazing, blah blah, and then Guts is just like, stop. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? And it's just yelling and like, oh, it's like horrible.
Yeah, and of all the ways for Guts to lose his arm, could not have guessed this is how he was going to lose it.
Yeah.
But because I was reading, I'm like, God damn, like it was like, fuck, it's still going.
Yeah,
like,
that's the thing. That's the thing. It keeps going.
They're not. It's not a cutaway thing.
No.
They show all of it.
No,
and
but it's the way that it's like drawn and depicted. Again, like in no way, shape, or form is Casca into it at all. But the way that it starts, because again, like it almost looks like she's just like out of it, or that it almost kind of feels like he has some sort of like
power,
hypnosis, or some sort of control over her for a second, because she is like moaning. And she is like moving her body in a way, and I read it that way in the manga, and then even in the movie, it's depicted that way as well, where she's just kind of like making noise, like she's not fighting him off. I guess
she's giving in
at this point, yeah.
Like, and
because he's like being like, it's disgusting, but he's also like being like, he's like just caressing her, and he's holding her, and he's just like making out, like it's very sexual. And it just adds that extra layer of betrayal to it. And the only other time I've ever felt that is in Black Mirror, when there was that guy who's like running for merits, and then this girl that he has a crush on ends up doing porn, and he gets stuck in this room and has to watch her porno.
I think I remember that. Yeah.
But either way,
there's a book series where like the main character, he gets assaulted in one of the book, and he goes through stuff like that, and it's so
it was bad all around. He just was like, fuck you, Guts,
and it doesn't stop, dude. That's the thing, like it stays there, and again, like the whole time I'm reading it, I'm like, I keep like having to put it down and like, stopping and stopping and starting and stopping, and the way he loses his arm is he doesn't, it's not just that it's like stuck and he like rips it out. Like he takes a broken blade, and just starts like hacking away at his arm. And again, this is you feel it, the way that the lines are, and it's so full of energy, and you feel the force of Guts like wanting to approach Griffith but not being able to. And he gets closer and closer, and then the creatures just slam him down and make him, once he rips his fucking whole arm off, he starts running over, and then the creatures just slam him down and force him to just like watch what is happening. And she's in all these different positions, and he's just like the whole time like just like he's not breaking eye contact.
No.
And again, you in the movie you hear it, and it's nothing but that sound and Casca's moans, and then one of the claws of the monsters pokes his eye out.
Yeah, and he got no eye.
Yeah.
But that was intense. I did not expect that at all. Like, I really thought, like, okay, Casca might die, something might happen, maybe it's just Guts now. Like, I didn't expect it. Like, I had no idea that was gonna happen, like, whatsoever in my brain.
Yeah,
that was the farthest thing from what I could have imagined.
Yeah,
Griffith doing. Like, even just on top of the horrible things that he's done, it's like, oh, this is the cherry on fucking top.
Yeah, part of the thing for me, like, I knew this was coming. So I don't think it hit me as hard as it hit you guys.
Do you know like plot?
I knew that was gonna happen, because I had a friend who was like into it, like manga, before I really read manga. So he was explaining to me like, oh, this so like reading it was like but like going in chapter 1, I knew like that's part of what's going to happen. Which is why when Megan gets her screensaver be a picture of like Griffith and Guts and Casca, I'm like, I don't know if you should have it's like them like in snow outfits, like playing snowball. I'm like, I mean, they don't really have that kind of relationship.
Not anymore.
You're gonna have to change your screensaver in a couple of weeks there, Megan.
Not weeks. Yeah, I'm changing. I haven't changed it yet. I'm still like mourning my.
I meant as soon as I saw that you had that, I'm like, oh yeah, no, they're great friends.
Yeah, dude, it's I mean, I obviously, like we've said, we knew that something was going to have to happen. I knew that it was going to have to be bad. I knew. And I thought of every scenario. but there's something about like the calmness of just like the way Griffith does what he does.
No, I know.
You know, because in my mind, I think like, oh, is everybody going to get massacred? Like, is he going to like skin Casca? Like, I'm just thinking of like because, you know, Berserk is a graphic where you see brains and eyes. I'm like, you know, what's going to happen?
Yeah. I thought he was just going to kill her. Like, I thought he was just going to kill her in front of Guts and that would have been the end of it, but it's like worse than that.
I thought maybe, you know, because he was tortured in that cell for a year and his tendons were I thought he was going to do something like that to Guts, to Casca, or he was going to, you know, trap them in this dimension for a year and just torture them and, you know, Guts was going to have to be malnourished. I don't know. But I'm just trying to think of the most horrific thing, and that was not what happened. What happened was even more horrific. But anyway, you think that there's no hope. You think that there's no way out. Griffith's won at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's also interesting, too, that they say that you're going to wake up from the dream of Griffith and you're going to enter a dream that you'll never awake. And that is like, so it's this like state of consciousness that he's in now. Like, I just wonder, like, I know that he still has all of his memories and I know that he still is Griffith, but I wonder what's, you know.
I think it's like, you know, that thing where a guy was like, oh, I had a dream where I was a butterfly. But in that dream, I went to sleep. So am I a man who dreamt he was a butterfly, or am I a butterfly who dreamt? Like, you dreamt that you were Griffith, but now, now you're what's his new name?
Femto.
Yeah,
I think
the dream of being Griffith is over. Now you're Femto.
Yeah, and I feel like it's just Griffith with like just like a lack of empathy at all for human life in general, because he really didn't have.
Yeah, he didn't. He used people.
He did, but he was still sad when that kid died, and he still mourned other people to an extent. But now it's just completely gone. It does not matter anymore because he's gotten.
Is this also a look at like, this is what happens when, like, he was only maybe being the way he was being because he needed people to achieve his dream.
Mm-hmm.
Now he has it, so now he doesn't have to pretend. He doesn't have to care.
I mean, they make a point about how he can turn his smile on and off. I mean, he's projecting a personality to people to see.
It's just crazy how like before even like just foreshadowing this moment, like with the princess, the whole speech where she's like, "What's important? Oh, like friends and family and loved ones." He's like, "But I think something's better. Yeah. A man's dream overpowers everything."
I think that because saying you have a dream sounds so nice,
whimsical,
noble.
It sounds so like fantastical and like, oh, how sweet, that people will just gloss right over like what your dream is, or like how you're using people to get to it and how you're a very manipulative person. But because he can be like, but I have a dream that I want, which if you just say I want a thing, it doesn't sound as nice. He says it's my dream to have it.
Yeah, and I do think it's interesting too, just how people talk about dreams in real life and the things that they have to like dreams always involve sacrifice, I feel like. Whether they're, you know, relationships, whether they're whatever they are,
internal,
like
morally, well, sometimes
but in this
compromise.
Case
compromise.
Yeah, in this case it's literally life. So,
and this is when a character that was like, I like this guy. His costume seems like he would the Skull Knight.
Yes.
Skull Knight.
Seems like, I like how he talks like a normal guy, even though he looks like a demon.
Yeah.
Comes in and I was like, Skull Knight!
So what is this man? He's a human?
Well, I mean, they talked about him when they went down to the pit to save Griffith.
I know, but I'm still kind of confused on what he is.
I'm kind of just under the impression he is someone who has gone through a similar situation as Guts.
Yeah, and see, what I didn't... Oh, I think we all forgot to mention too, real quick, is that him and Nosferatu Zod.
Oh yeah.
You see.
Rickert.
Yeah, Rickert.
Yeah, Rickert
sees them outside of. We're wondering where they're at, and they're in this like vortex that's sort of just come from the sky, and you know, surrounded by lightning. And there's these two beings at the edge of it, and it's Nosferatu Zod and the Skull Knight. And they just exchange this dialogue about being ancient foes and how he's the foe of the Inhumans and their enemy. And they have this established sort of banter like, it's
rivals.
It's you again.
Yeah, you fucker.
Like, we've won and the Skull Knight. And like, we'll see about that.
Yeah.
A little late, but he does come in.
Yeah.
And,
but it's cool. His entrance, too, he crashes through, like, I think, like, the eclipse. Like, he crashes through it. And
I can't believe no one talks about this guy in like the casual thing.
I know.
and when they talk about this series, no one mentions like what I also like is I never like whenever it's only hell, and there's never like a force for good out there. Mm-hmm. That's always my problem watching like a ghost movie. Oh, your house is haunted by demons. So, so demons are a real thing. So therefore, like their religion that says that those are a real thing is right.
Yeah, and
so
then
there
you're
should
like,
be a counteracting force there.
Yeah, like you're fighting it off, but nothing you're doing is working with the Bible or the crosses, but they're just winning. It's like, I don't get it. There should be a mix of
part of this
fight.
The whole basis of them existing means that there's the greater force.
Yeah. This is funny.
The whole ideology is based on the good force being stronger.
What if they got it wrong though?
Like, it's not like you're fighting the actual devil. Like, it's just these, like, they're the goons of the world. Like, they shouldn't have this much power.
Yeah, if demons are real, that means holy water should work, right?
Yeah, but these aren't just like, I mean, they're low level, but they're levels, and they're like, the God hand are like the angel equivalent of.
I'm applying that to general movies, not exactly this power. It's just a thing I like where like someone with supernatural forces on the good side.
Yeah, yeah. And he's so badass, and you're right. I do see him as like a Guts, like something similar happened to him that happened to Guts, and also like it makes me want to like go back and read that story where the princess was talking about him, because all that they say was that he was a warlord or a general, and that he achieved. He was similar to Griffith in that he achieved a lot. He won almost every battle, and he got pretty much a kingdom, and he went mad with power, so much power that the four angels, they call them in this legend, the angels God's angels had to come down and stop him.
Yeah, so you can see that the other side of that story is he was a champion, and these, I don't think you would describe these beings as angels, but the four entities stopped him who are clearly on the force of evil. So
yeah.
You can see how that legend can be turned either way to who this person really is.
Yeah, and I want to know more about him, and we get
glimpses, but it's very mysterious. He's still a very mysterious character, even though he is the only glimmer of hope that they have.
Which I love how it is like I haven't seen anything to imply this guy has like malicious ulterior motives, and someone who read the whole series is probably like, they don't know.
But you guys don't know anything.
I loved going into this too, not really knowing anything, because there were so many moments like the Griffith Casca moment that I didn't see coming. Plus, like when the Skull Knight comes in to rescue Griffith, rescue Guts, they leave, and when I see Casca on there too, I'm like, he took Casca too? Like, I thought she was done.
No, he saved her too. Oh, because he says, like, they're not supposed to die.
They're not supposed to die. But he tells Rickard that, like, I think later.
And my favorite part of all of this is when they get out of the tornado, they're all just like, we gotta go. And then Nosferatu Zod's like, what's going on? We're gonna fight still? And he's like, we have to call it off, man. He's like, okay, for sure. We'll do this next time. I understand. Yeah. And he's just laughing at Guts still being alive.
Well, yeah, they postponed their battle because of Guts, and just like Nosferatu
Skull Knight's like, this isn't a good time.
Yeah, Nosferatu Zod is such a funny character to me because he's just respectful at the situation. He's like, okay, for sure, next time. I'll get you 100 years later.
And what I like is they are like, everyone who was branded is going to die. Everyone in this void is going to die. And they would have, but because the Skull Knight came in and interfered with what was happening, that like changed. Like he was able
the
to
course.
The
course of destiny.
Well, that's
of causality.
Causality.
Maybe if that's how that word is used. I'm not entirely
causality?
sure.
Well, yeah, that's what they talk about.
More like casuality, and it's people who only watch My Hero.
Oh, that was a reach.
It definitely was. My Hero reach Adamia.
Okay, dude. But that's what they talk about too. The God Hand. They mention that they didn't even know that was going to happen. These are beings that talk about knowing everything and every thread of everyone's destiny.
I like it, and they're just like, oh, did you?
No, they're
I didn't know. I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, it's like we don't know everything. At the end
we're
of the day.
They're like, we're not gods.
Yeah.
I meant like 99% of causality.
Yeah, the big brain guy's like, okay.
Give me a moment.
Nope, not to my calculations.
Shit.
we fucked up here a little bit.
But they even say like one fish jumping out of the pond won't disrupt the flow
Doth
of the river.
not the river of...
Dude, the writing in this, beautiful.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Beautiful. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many panels that I had to go reread over and over and over because I'm dumb. And I'm like, let me dissect this.
What's a fish? What do they mean? What do they
Fish?
mean?
What's
Like,
fish?
Fish.
In a barrel?
I feel like that means something.
Fish, scales.
Griff fish.
And that's the conclusion I came to. And that's Cody must have snuck a read at my notes.
I read your notes.
Yeah. Shit. That was going to be the entire back half of this episode.
Fuck, I was just gonna riff off of how Griffith is a fish now.
Oh, yeah. Riffing with Griffith.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, they get to a point where the Skull Knight rescues them. Also, we brushed past that there's like a Puck cameo and how...
Oh, yeah, what's happening is... This is what people were saying, right? Is the eclipse is what makes it like broke the border between not paranormal, fantasy.
Yeah. Just the world of the living and the world of the dead.
Right.
The lines are blurred between the two now. Either that, yeah, because the eclipse, but also I think like the way that the Skull Knight is explaining it to Guts too is like maybe he sees more than regular people see. Regular normal people, yeah. They still see things, like they still react. Obviously, they can still see when the Count turns into a slug man.
Mm-hmm.
But like I don't know, like when he was in the forest and he was hearing all the ghosts. Well, I guess they saw it too.
Was it kind of like Guts sees an elf, but like people will see like a more like a vague like aura?
I don't know. I feel like they can see.
Yeah, they're talking to Puck now.
Yeah.
Like Puck is like on this like caravan or whatever, and he's like being little mischievous Puck.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this makes me happy. And that whole the page of Puck being in front of the moon, and it was so magical, and it just made me feel like there's hope in this world a little bit, because you just take you back to how good he was and how much he cared for like trying to get Guts to be more of human-like and not just killing, and you realize why he's kind of like that now.
Well, I mean, there's also, you realize how this plays into causality, destiny, that everything is on some sort of course, because Rickert has to be where he's at to come across this caravan that just so happens to be one that Puck is on, to just so happen to get the dust, to just so happen to be able to, you know what I mean? Like
save them and heal them.
Everybody's kind of connected, and then where they end up too, and how Guts is connected to those people as well. Like everything is connected. Everything, you know what I mean? Everything is like following some sort of course of destiny.
Yeah. And what's nice is the story gets to a kind of a nice moment, like a sort of a shift in like how bad things were.
It gets nice.
For a brief moment, yes.
For
compared
4 panels.
Compared,
Then it gets sad again.
But it was, Griffith being literally rearmed. That was like, I thought that scene was very fun.
Oh, Guts, you mean?
I said Griffith. Yeah, I'm wrong.
Yeah. Well, even before we get to that when he wakes up, the Skull Knight took them to this like cave, the same cave that he went to go train at with the old man, the blacksmith, and his daughter.
Yeah, she goes, the orc cave. And he's like, you mean the orc cave?
Yeah.
She's so cute.
Yeah, she's so cute. And her and Rickert are obviously like, they kind of know each other now. They're friendly because Guts and Casca have been out for days. Casca's awake. She has no memory of anything that's happened.
My God, the hope in Guts' eyes just completely. He's like, oh, everyone's dead. Where's Casca? Oh, she's right over there. She's just taking a shower. Casca, oh my God, you just see the love in his eyes. Like, I'm so happy you're alive.
Yeah.
We can deal with this together. We went through so much together. We're gonna get through it because we have each other. Yeah. And she just doesn't remember him at all, and she's scared of him, and that's the worst thing that could have possibly.
Is that what happened? She doesn't remember who
She doesn't remember anybody.
Anything.
Oh.
She's like a child. She's like, she can't talk.
I don't think that's
She's
the worst thing that could have happened, because the worst thing happened already, and she could have also died, and I guess there's that.
But herself, she kind of died. Like, she's not Casca anymore.
Yeah, but at least there's like hope. When that happens, at least there's hope for her to get like
memories back.
Yeah, her memories back, her personality back, something. But yeah, she doesn't remember anybody. She doesn't. She's reverted to like some sort of childlike state where she can't even speak. It doesn't sound like.
No.
Oh, I thought it was she was so emotionally distraught. She was like, like get away from me.
No,
in general.
She can't even speak. She can't even, like, every time she talks, it's just like jumbled things come out, like sounds come out. It's not words. Like it's because of trauma, but also because of trauma and everything else that happened to them. But yeah, so Guts is like, I gotta go in Guts fashion. He's like, I gotta go save everybody. I gotta go check on the rest of the band to make sure they're okay. So he, leaves. He's told he shouldn't leave, and he goes out and he runs, and he's just flashing back to, everything. All
of the people that are gone now, like Corcus,
and Pippin,
Judo,
Rick,
Pippin.
Rick is the only one alive.
Yeah, and he's just like running through all of his feelings right now. Like, it's total Guts move. Like, I need to finish this fight. I need to get revenge immediately. There's no stopping. Like, he's just move on. Just fucking.
And no one's there, obviously. But then he starts to, the seal starts to leak blood, and the ghosts or the spirits start to attack him. And that's where the Skull Knight shows up and explains everything to him. Explains again the brand of the sacrifice. Explains, that Guts is going to be walking this line now between the two things. That, Femto has ushered in this age of darkness now. And all of these things are explained, and it puts a nice bow on everything, because we get to really know the rules of the world and why everything was the way it was in the Black Swordsman arc, and also like how little time was actually between the two.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, I thought the Black Swordsman arc was way later, but it's like 2 years of, separating them.
Yeah, he's almost immediately, because I was like, oh, is he gonna slowly get the stuff? But they're not like. That's why when he gets like rearmed, it's like, oh, I thought there was gonna. Yeah, be a more.
Yeah, right. Yeah, more time. But I also thought too, like when he's explaining everything to him, I'm like, okay, well, this is putting a nice bow on the story. It's wrapping up. The worst is behind us, and then something happens where they stop attacking Guts, and they realize that it's because somebody else with a brand is out and about, and
who else could that be?
Thinks Casca. They both jump on the Black Skull Knights.
Yeah, I love how helpful that guy is. He's like, Casca? Yeah,
he's like get on, dude.
He's like, I've held you once before, and he's like, before, and he's like, try not to fall off.
He's just that's such a fantasy hero line of like, hold on,
don't fall off.
Yeah, he's the best.
Yay!
Yeah, and even Guts in that moment asks him who he is, and he basically says he drops a little hint. Well, I think he just says like I'm the enemy of the God Hand of the immortals or whatever, the Inhumans, and that's all. And he literally says, and that's all I'll say for now.
So stay tuned.
Yeah,
folks.
stay tuned. He might as well have said stay tuned. But so they see Casca on this hill or on this cliff, and they're not attacking her, but they're surrounding her, and that's fishy to them. It doesn't really add up. So Guts goes to approach her, and she starts. She leans over,
writhing
starts
in
reacting,
pain.
Yeah,
and he's like, "What the fuck's wrong with you?"
And she births, or passes, I guess. Rather, a deformed fetus, and you realize that Casca was pregnant with Guts' baby when all of this was happening.
Wait.
Yeah, the Skull Knight says
Guts' baby.
It was his. Griffith doing that. No, Griffith corrupted their baby by doing what he did.
Yeah.
Which is why Oh, God. Oh,
really?
All right, just focus. Just zoom in on here.
Really?
Yes.
I thought it was like a demonic Griffith fucking baby.
When
Casca
he
corrupted it.
Yeah. The Black Skull Knight says that.
Oh, no.
When they
this Griffith guy, a real... Not nice fella here.
Yeah. When they were in the woods and they had sex that first time, Guts got Casca pregnant.
They don't even have condoms back then.
Yeah, and so when all that was happening to her, she was pregnant with Guts' baby, and like Cody said, Griffith corrupted their baby. So when Guts is holding that fetus, like he's realizing like that was his child, or would have been his child, is his child.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Which he says like, this is mine. Which I could see how that could be interpreted as like, well, it's the baby of my child, or it's the baby of the person I love, so it's my. But no, it was literally his.
Yeah.
But what Griffith did in hell, and it made it, they like corrupted its very soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very sad. Very, and that's why I thought all the sadness was over, and then that chapter came, and I was a
nice
wreck all over again.
Little bow.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not okay.
Yeah, it's fucked.
That's
and
so sad. Why did I not understand that?
What's even crazier too is that Guts is conflicted. That's why Guts is conflicted and doesn't want to.
Great for the folks at home is this
Don't.
is how Megan reads stories.
Yeah.
We'll see her like doing this
for the whole rest of the episode. He's conflicted. That's why he can't kill this baby, even though it's like a monster now. And the sun starts to rise and it disappears. And Casca thinks, I think, in her hysteria that Guts had something to do with that. But the Skull Knight tells them like
it's
gonna come back, like, and it's gonna. Because Guts is the dad. So he's like, it's going to seek out its parents. Like, it's going to come back. It's going to find you. Because it's in Demon's nature anyway. But especially because you're its father, you're its parent. Like, it's going to come back for you. Which just is another, like, what the fuck, man? Like,
which is So the weird thing he was seeing in the Black Swordsman arc, that was his baby.
Yeah. In the
because he was like, oh, it's like following me. Everyone's like in his head. It's like, yeah. There we go. Zoom in. Zoom in on Megan crying in shock.
Yeah.
Why is Guts' life so horrible?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, man.
My
it all
god.
comes full circle.
Everything's berserk.
Yeah.
God damn.
And pretty much, I mean, I think that's where. Oh, well, then there's that moment. There's the suit up moment.
Which I liked, where it was like, okay. So now you know all the background on Guts. And now it's time for a little revenge.
Yeah.
Which is like, here's by the way, my blacksmith uncle or father, I'm not really clear on that one. He's got some tools you might be able to use. Because if Guts is like, I'm getting revenge on the god of evil himself, they're like, well, you're gonna need a weapon there, buddy.
And he gets that's where and it was like, I did feel like, again, I don't want to use the word rushed, but it did feel like he got everything like right away. Like,
he needed it.
But there's like, when you're reading it, going backwards and finding the origin, figuring out the origin of this character, you think like, oh man, well, that's how he lost his arm. Like, I wonder, what is going to happen for him to get this like metal arm, and what's going to happen for him to get this other. But he kind of gets everything like all at once, which is fine.
Which we have not. Everything has been a build up so far. It's not been like, oh, this is immediately what's going to happen. It's going to be so quick. Like, this is the first time you've ever been like, oh, okay, it's a little rushed, but I don't give a shit.
I don't care.
And the blacksmith has like been established to exist before, and it is like the Skull Knight specifically like made this situation happen. So it's not like it was random. Not like it casually. It casually happened.
Casually happened.
Yes, exactly.
So he gets everything, and the actual blacksmith gives him another sword that's not. It's not going to cut.
The best.
It's not going to cut it.
Yeah, he says he goes like, I gave him a sword, but that's just not going to work against those fuckers.
And they even talk about the origin of the sword and why the sword was even forged and why it was created and who it was created for, and how he the only reason the blacksmith has kept it is because it's a reminder that a tool can lose its function. Or it can't serve its purpose when you kind of like when you take it a little too far. He's like, I took it a little too far. It's not even like, it doesn't even do what it's designed to do anymore.
Yeah, and he's like, because if dragons don't exist, he's like, if dragons exist, this would be a great weapon, but they don't.
Yeah. And there's that nice little interaction with that demon at the end, or that monster at the end, and him needing Dragon Slayer, the sword, and
I love he's like, you can fucking wield that thing.
Yeah.
He's like, I made it as a joke.
It was sort of like the king asked for the best sword. That a sword good enough to kill a dragon. Which, to be fair to the blacksmith, that would have done it. Yeah. But it was like, I can't wield this, and I was like, I made it. So
I'll keep it as a reminder to just a reality check.
We'll keep it for our background for volume 1
I'll give it to volume 1. But that was a nice ending to it. He gets all his weapons, he gets his arm, he gets his sword, he gets everything.
And I love how he also struggled with the cannon at first. He's like, whoa, that was pretty crazy. Too much gunpowder. That was realistic. It wasn't just like, I can use this. It's like, no, this is something that's new to you. It's like, all right, cannon.
We'll work with that. We'll work on that a little more.
It was nice.
And I like how people just are scared of Guts. It's so funny. Like when he gets into that berserk mode, when he gets in berserk mode, he's like, Guts is scary.
Yeah, man. I mean, he also, knowing that there's not that much time that's between the Golden Age arc and the events of the Golden Age arc and the Black Swordsman arc, like it does make Guts does feel like he got, and it makes sense, but he feels like extra cold to me now, you know, like whereas like before,
because that shit just happened.
It just happened. I know, but I mean, like, but it's also because now you know why he is that way, and so it's just like I don't know. It was really weird for me to see him back in the. Now we're jumping back to the Black Swordsman arc. Like it was weird to see him in that time again, and just like. Because it took me back to first reading it and not knowing anything about this character.
And being like, oh, he's just a cold killer, classic guy with no emotions, just fighting and killing. And it's like, oh, no, he did love for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so when you see him in the Black Swordsman arc, when he like sees Griffith again, it was like, and he was like, I'm gonna kill. It was like, oh yeah, it wasn't like, oh, he managed to hold on to that rage for years. He was just like, fucking got you now.
And that was probably the first time he'd seen him in a long
well, 2
time.
years.
Yeah, fuck, dude.
Yeah.
A lot can happen in 2 years. And like, oh my God, after everything you know, and I have no idea what the fuck is gonna happen.
No, I don't either.
What could happen?
What I have been told is this becomes now. Well, that's what people said. This is like sort of the prologue to the story, and this becomes about Guts' quest for revenge against the God Hand.
Which is amazing, and I can't wait to
like
read that.
The scene that sort of felt like the epilogue, like that was in this, right, where like the swarm of evil elves are attacking.
Yeah, I mean that's going into the conviction arc a little bit, but or the beginning of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it is just kind of establishing kind of what the world is now, or what it was in the Black Swordsman arc, and we just weren't even aware of.
Also, kind of makes sense why people were like, because you see Puck is being captured and tortured in the first chapter.
Yeah.
It makes sense why people are like, I don't, because mostly, you know, there was like a swarm of evil ones, and the only good one I've seen has been Pug.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Butterfly
but
one or
I want to ask you guys, now that we got through all of that, and it's been a journey getting through all of that. Like, what do you guys like? How do you guys feel now that it's over? And just like, what do you think? Sort of what are some things that stood out to you, and really the themes that are at play here, like dreams and causality and destiny and all of these things, like. What are some things that you took from it? What are some things that, like, again, like really hit you?
I'm sorry. I'm still processing. You
guys
guys had
You're still
time.
processing the fact that Guts has a baby.
Yeah. Oh, he's a dad.
He's a dad. Yeah.
Daddy.
He's a daddy too. Yeah.
Anyway, I am just shocked and blown away at how this story just continues to grow on me and grow in itself. Like, it's just absolutely insane. I've never read something that just feels so alive. Like, this would be happening without me seeing it on the page. Like, it just feels like it's like this is the truth. Like, this is the way. No,
this is the way.
But it just feels so like I can't put it. It's like epic. It's so fucking epic. I've never read anything like this before. I've never seen these characters go through so much heartbreak and still be able to tell the story. Like, of course, like this would be okay. This is where it ended. Okay, there's eclipse. Terrible things happen. Horrible story. Maybe good ending. Whatever. But there's still so much to.
Yeah.
There's still so much story to read.
The beginning.
Yeah, and that's what's insane to me. And the fact that he was writing this Golden Age arc and it was coming out every 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's
one thing to have
awesome.
a story mapped out and planned out, but to draw the panels that he was drawing in that amount of time is just incredible.
And the story and the dialogue, like all of it, like this 2 weeks, like that is so insane to me. Like this is a story that this is like a book that people spend fucking 2 years on before they release it. Like, it's absolutely insane.
Well, I mean, he probably did spend a long time.
Of course, but oh man.
Yeah,
that's what it feels. It's
to me. It's just like, I mean, I look at just like what it means to me and like what I get from it, and just like destiny and fighting. You know, destiny. We did get a comment on it. I just wanted to talk about it for a second now. The causality and destiny, and just like how Guts is the embodiment of that, and the embodiment of like fighting against that, and fighting against like what the world says is supposed to happen to him, and how ever since he was a baby, he wasn't supposed to be born.
Shouldn't have existed in the first place.
Yeah,
he should have died in his mother's guts.
And he is at every point he is defying these larger themes. He's defying destiny. He's defying causality. He is an amazing character. He's resilient. I mean, he's so just like, he embodies to me just like this spirit of like not letting anybody dictate like your destiny, like your life, like forging your own path.
Well,
and it's a good mirror between
what
I mean, not real. That's not what he.
I mean, at every turn, like he's never giving up, no matter how bad things get for him, no matter the horrible things that he sees. Like so many people, given what they saw, like what he saw, it would have broke them.
Oh yeah, that part, yeah. But like he did let people dictate his lives.
Well, but for a little bit until
years. Years.
Well, yeah, for years. But I mean, like I'm talking about like him and where he got, like where he's at now.
Where he's at now?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love the mirror between him and Griffith of how he is completely his destiny set, but he doesn't give a fuck and he's moving on and moving forward and fighting through it. Whereas Griffith gave in to what had already been set for him and he didn't fight that. He just gave in and was like, okay, I'm going to do this. Like they're telling me that this is what my life is meant to be, so I'm going to do it. Versus Guts, where everyone told him like, this is what your life's supposed to be. And he was like, well, no, I'm not going to do that. Like Griffith could have easily been like, no. I mean, I don't know what would have happened. Imagine if Griffith said no, like it would have been different. Would they would have done it anyway? Because he was chosen to do that. Would they have given that opportunity to someone else? Would they just killed them all? Like, it's a lot of questions that could have happened. I don't know.
What about you, Cody?
A surprising highlight for the series for me is the Skull Knight.
Yeah,
he's one of he's probably one of my favorite characters in the series so far. I really like the concept of that guy.
My theory involved him, but then when I started thinking about it, it's immediately not even possible. But I thought because for a second that there were four,
that he used to be one.
That he used to be the fifth.
That I mean, he looks like he would belong in that band.
Yeah.
So if he's the opposite of a fallen angel,
right,
an ascended demon.
That's kind of what I thought. But then they mentioned that there was. The only reason I say that
there's always been four.
Yeah, they seem like it's this new thing that they're birthing, this fifth member,
and it's sort of a big deal.
And it's yeah.
But there's some connection. Well, obviously, there's a huge connection he has with this, and this vague legend about a great warrior who was personally like confronted by these four God Hand members. So it is like maybe he is what happens when you reject that deal.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe he was meant to be what Griffith is now.
That's why, like, if there was a character who embodied rejecting causality and fate, which are different things, I think it's the Skull Knight, not Guts.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Guts. I mean, cutting his arm off to like get fruit, like that is like he has the spirit of doing it, but the Skull Knight is the one actually like he stopped Guts from dying. Guts was gonna die in hell.
I mean, he was gonna die, but he was. I guess what Guts I think embodies currently at this stage is just like fight the fight and not giving up. Like at no point.
Because the Skull Knight doesn't fight.
He doesn't.
He chooses to rescue Guts and Casca and reject a fight with his old foe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, just like and just going back to the dreams thing too. I mean, it's just like. This story makes you realize that no matter what your dream is, like you have to sacrifice a lot to get there. You don't have to kill people.
No.
But
or
I mean,
do a lot of what Griffiths did.
But people in history have definitely done some pretty sinister, dark things in the name of their dream.
Well, it's funny because you see these, like, they're just humans. Like, they're all human beings doing all these things before the demons and everything gets involved. Like, without these people, like, this is happening. Like, this was happening without you having an egg. Like, people that are just, like, killing people to get by and, like, really, like, doing these things for power. Like Griffith would have done that regardless if he didn't get this opportunity. But
yeah, I mean, he was a professional killer. Yeah, I mean, it's not like accidentally people died. You their whole basis for acquiring it was by killing people.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing I forgot to mention too is that line that Griffith says to Guts, that like, you were the one person who made me forget that dream.
Yeah.
And that to me, I mean, I don't know why that resonated with me so much, because there are these people that you meet that have this ability to just like, you become enamored with them, you become obsessed with them, you become
who would you do you have those people in your lives, or maybe a couple of
no one's really coming to mind right now. But it is, dude. I mean, like I know this might be like a shallow comparison, but like for me, you know, just like through life wanting to accomplish the things I wanted to accomplish, and then like, for example, getting in a relationship or something, and then being so like swallowed by that like that world that you forget these things that you.
See, I was trying to do a joke, but actually, yes, that is that is a real thing that we both have experienced.
Yeah, for real. And then you kind of like, when it ends or whatever, you're kind of snapped out of it. You're like, oh my God, like I can't, I was almost willing to give all that up, or like I almost did.
Not almost. If it kept going down, yeah. It's always fun when you see a comedian start dating someone. You're like, oh, so they're done.
The clock's ticking. How long are they gonna last?
You see like an angry comic, and they're like, oh no, now they're not so angry anymore. So there goes their
whole set.
Yeah, imagine if a comedian who's like half their, actually 90% of their energy was being someone who yelled all their bits.
Yeah.
And when they finally chilled out, it turns out, they don't really have any onstage charisma anymore. So
anybody coming to mind?
What I would do is not even worry about an example.
I do think that too. Like Guts was always searching for something more and searching for like a meaning in his life, because he was always controlled by other people and his situation. And then when he found it, he just left again because he needed to be stronger. But like the thing that made him stronger was the people that he was trying to protect.
Yeah, and he realizes
sometimes true strength is the bonds we form in our hearts, and
you have to take advantage of that before it's too late and they all die in the eclipse, because then you can't see them anymore.
And you never know when that's going to happen.
And you never know what's going to happen.
Every 216 years.
Oh, you do know when it's going to happen.
We just had one actually this week. On Thursday, I think.
We had an eclipse?
Yeah.
Isn't that so weird how, like,
yeah.
No one cares anymore.
When this episode...
That used to be a religious event.
Yeah.
People would be like, the world is ending.
It was last week, technically, when this comes out.
Yeah, and now people are like, oh my God, the new episode of The Bachelorette is out, And it was literally an eclipse happening.
Yeah.
And people just don't care, yeah. But I don't know, man. I mean, this, it really fucked me all up, I think.
I can't even. That tidbit. I don't know why I didn't read that the way I completely disregarded that, and I am.
You didn't want to read it.
I think I didn't want to.
It makes me. It's one of those series that you can after you're done reading it, it just sits with you and you can't help but think about it. It's in the back of your mind. I mean, I felt very similarly. We come across a lot of series on this channel, obviously, and there's so many series that stand out to me, and so many series that I've just been taken with and I've become obsessed with and love. But there's only two that have ever made me like feel this same way, and it was at the end of Fire Punch.
And
what were you?
Don't tease me, Miss Naga.
Act
that's
Age?
third. I forgot. Yeah.
Act Age. Oh yeah.
3, 4.
4.
God hands.
Oh, also 4 means death. Like that's like a number associated with death and like throughout history and cultures. Yeah.
Well, good thing we're 3.
Yeah, good thing we're 3.
That's why we will never have another member.
Volume 1 Chan makes.
Oh.
Oh boy.
The Arbiter herself.
We're in it now.
But yeah, I've literally like. I literally bought all the deluxe editions. I made a fucking Griffith helmet. I made a Dragon Slayer sword. I mean, I have become obsessed with this world, these characters, this story. And the only other feeling that I can compare it to is the end of Fire Punch. At the end, when, just like the sort of, and there's more ambiguity in, I think, Fire Punch at the end, and it's more clear here, but it is just sort of this feeling of like, there is hope in at least Berserk. There does feel like there's a kernel of hope because Guts is still out there and Guts is still fighting. And in Fire Punch, it is just sort of like, well, it's the end of everything. But I don't know, man. I mean, this is such a powerful story, and it is just the beginning. And I can't believe that we're here. I can't believe everything my eyes have seen, and will never be able to unsee. And just like I said, the meaning and just the characters, man. I mean, it's so incredible. And I don't know.
Has so much like heart. Like it just feels like a living story. Like this is going. It's amazing
and timeless too, man. This thing,
totally.
I feel like you could read this like 100, 200, 300 years from now, and it'll still be as amazing as it is today. Like it's just such a perfect story.
Yeah, when people are like, "Oh, look, they guessed all that was going to happen in 300 years when the apocalypse finally happens."
Oh God.
Yep. Just counting down the days.
Yeah. This was
clocking out.
Clocking out.
It's all over.
To the end of days.
I can't. People are saying that the next arc is even worse. How could it be worse? How could it be how could it be possibly like I don't
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we're probably going to, we haven't talked about it too much, but we're probably going to take a little bit of a break before we do the next arc, but I mean, also just to sit with this and digest it, but also to, to cover other things. But I just want to know if you guys have any final thoughts about this arc and this series so far and what we've read and sort of our experience with it before we wrap up this like beautiful, beautiful, beautiful trilogy of episodes.
I mean, the only thing I could really say is like
our episodes are beautiful.
Okay,
I don't
talk like that.
I don't know if
it didn't sound like that was what I was saying, but I was more referring to the story.
Yeah.
But then I figured I'd just double down on
yours.
I'm just I'm showing my work now. Megan, sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I just feel like I don't agree with starting off with this arc versus the Black Swordsman arc. I think that it is important to the story and it is how the mangaka intended it to be. So read the first arc and then go in. There's like I could imagine, but I just wouldn't. It'd be a completely different story to me if I didn't read that arc in the beginning. Like,
I mean, dramatic irony is a thing. So I mean, if the point is like, well, then you won't know. Because if you read the first chapter, then you'll know that these things are going to lead to this event. But it is like, well, that adds to the experience when I see that, like, well, I know this guy is going to betray him. So seeing them form friendships, that's part of the experience. That
the heartache.
Yeah. I don't. The only reason to read it out of order would be so you don't know. And so when the twist, so it would be a twist when he betrays them rather than you being like, oh, that's how it happens.
But that's even worse.
But that's,
it's even worse knowing what's going to happen and what is in place already for the whole destiny of the story.
It gives stakes to everything.
Totally.
Like, as you're reading it, like when you see Griffith be stabbed by the poison arrow, or you see,
I'm like, oh, is that, anytime Guts gets injured, I'm like, is that going to cause an infection to lose his arm? What's going to happen
I do want to ask, now that you know how he lost his arm, did it live up to your expectations?
It was pretty metal.
Yeah, it was very metal.
I think they, unless this is like because I know this like obviously is like based on like mythology and like, legends and stuff too. But so if this is a common thing for like classical heroes to do, but Aquaman.
Okay, I'm listening.
Okay, so now Aquaman has been under a lot of like pressure to be cool because a cartoon in the 60s didn't know what to do with him. Mm-hmm. So everyone based their idea off that cartoon for some reason, like 50 years later still. But they had him, like, he has a hook hand, and they show that the spoilers for Aquaman.
Yeah.
He got his hand stuck under a boulder, and his son was being attacked, so he cut off his hand to be able to get to him.
Everything's Berserk.
Everything's Berserk. Also, you know what animal will chew off its own limb to escape a trap? A wolf.
Oh.
That's relevant later.
Well, I mean, it's
and,
relevant. Yeah,
and Guts is the
He's
wolf.
A lone wolf boy.
He's a lone wolf. The wolves he encountered earlier in the series. I mean,
is an animal that runs in packs.
It is an animal that runs in packs.
But he's alone now.
Wow.
Except he is the alpha of his pack now, because he does have a family.
Yeah, he does have a family, and I wonder how they're all going to come into the rest of the series. Like, what's going to happen with Costco? What's going to happen, with everybody? I mean, what's going to happen with Guts? What's going to happen with, his quest for revenge against the God Hand and Griffith?
Is his arm going to get more upgrades? That's something I'm really invested in. Because I know it's got single shot, automatic fire, and explosion rounds. I'm wondering, like, where do we go from there? Are we going to get, like...
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, this story exceeded every expectation I had for it. It was nothing like what I thought it was going to be. And I am amazed that through cultural osmosis, that I didn't pick up anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that I didn't pick up any plot details.
It was destiny that we were supposed to read it together.
It was destiny. Causality.
Talk about it.
Yeah.
But this was a journey. This was a ride, an emotional roller coaster. This was everything. Berserk is everything. Kentaro Miura, just like a genius. Always will be. And this series is always going to be one of my favorites now for the rest of time. I mean, it's just so incredible. Before we end the episode, though, we want to make sure that we go through everybody's comments that you guys have left on like our previous videos, and just sort of address any corrections or mistakes, and maybe some sort of, I mean, I guess it'll be like a version of the Wonder Circle, I guess. Volume 1 Chan, just can you read us some comments? Can you find some comments for us?
Hey, I have an idea. Instead of the Wonder Circle, why don't we do the Correction Corner? You guys got a lot of correction comments, and I think it would be really awesome if you talk about them. But you guys do it, because I'm still kind of sad about the whole Guts and Griffith breakup. So, yeah, go for it.
Breakup.
Right, well,
Speaking of breakup.
Speaking of breakup. Okay. I mean, I guess we can do that.
I think I received comments from my transponder.
Yeah, while you guys are doing that.
Uh-oh, Megan has to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Okay, Cody, why don't you fire off a question for us, or a comment.
Or a correction.
Or a correction, I should say.
This is Casca was actually in love by Kira G. Casca actually was in love with Griffith while also viewing him as kind of an authority figure, at least for a while. So it's not wrong to say she's jealous of Guts in multiple ways. Griffith is definitely a master manipulator, though, so those feelings are definitely misplaced. I'll be glad to see the other videos in the series. Yeah, I wasn't sure which direction the devotion to Griffith was on Casca's end.
Well, yeah, now that makes sense. I mean, having so much context, it makes sense that she, as the story went on, it was clear that she was torn between her love of like Griffith and her love of Guts. I think he obviously, the way he feels is also revealed too, that he is, I don't know if love is the right word. I mean, he is obsessed. Like he wants to have her. And
he did, and Griffith ruined that. Or Guts ruined.
Yeah. And that's also just like the way even Griffith speaks is just like how little he values, I think, human life. He's like, even with Guts, he's like, I want to have you.
Yeah, it's a thing where it's like, the way he talks in a way where you kind of gloss over what he's saying. Cause like, I want to have, but you can be like, oh, that's because he's like such a beautiful man.
Yeah.
When he says, I want to have you, people are like, oh, I think he's like into him.
I think
but
he's
it's
flirting.
Like, he's talking about owning a person.
Yeah.
And it's one of those ways people, if you're attractive enough, you can say a lot of things before people are like, I don't know. I mean, you said you want him to be your little slave boy. I don't know if that.
Yeah, if you said, if me or you said to anybody, like, I want to have you, they'd be like, gross.
Get away from me.
Yeah, and who do you think you are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, if Griffith says, I want to have her, people are like, such devotion.
They're like, oh my God, he's full of ambition.
Such raw dreams and passion.
That's a man who knows what he wants.
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of those things and a lot of those relationships are a lot more clear now. I have one that says from Jay Allister. I forgot to say that you guys overlooked what the Skull Knight called Guts. You struggler, take heed. There is a reason why all berserks are strugglers. We are all strugglers.
So is the Skull Knight a berserk? Is that like a category of person?
I mean, maybe that's a little bit of a spoiler, dude. I don't know. Or maybe he's just saying, we are all, part of Berserk. Oh, look who's back.
Oh, hi. I had to go downstairs.
You had to go downstairs? What?
Yeah, I got scared. I was like, oh, hi. Oh, my God. That was kind of embarrassing. Anyway, what are we talking about?
Strugglers, how the Skull Knight called, Guts a struggler, and how that's kind of what he ends up becoming. And that is like his sort of, self-fulfilled prophecy from the Skull Knight is that, yeah.
And that does point, so the Skull Knight and Guts are, he says we're the same type of person. So that's why if the Skull Knight sees that in Guts, it would that's why I'm like, oh, so there's a connection between these two characters.
Yes.
If the Skull Knight is maybe a Guts who failed or a Griffith who rejected.
Yes.
But he does see himself in Guts.
Yeah.
Which is probably why he's so devoted to saving, because otherwise they don't really say why in particular outside of him saying like we're the same.
Yeah, and you know what, dude? I mean, in life, we're all struggling. I feel like life is just a constant struggle. You know what I mean? Like we're all doing our best, and we're all just like getting by. And people say that maybe you're supposed to go to college, or maybe there's other people who have your whole life mapped out for you. But I'm for sure a struggler, and I'm struggling.
There's no rebuttal to that.
Yeah, everybody's just in silent agreement of that. Megan, do you have a comment?
Yeah, let me pull it up.
Did you have to go downstairs to find a comment of Volume 1 Chan?
Yeah, Volume 1 Chan sent it to me in the DM, so let me look at that. You should maybe read the cut chapter 83 after finishing the Golden Age arc, by the way. Miura took it out of the volumes for spoiler reasons, but for me and many, it is probably one of the Berserk's best chapters from Laugh. L-A-F.
I read it.
Yeah, I read it too. I didn't realize it was like an added on or like taken out or whatever. And it was pretty interesting, I have to say.
Yeah, I don't know if it's spoiler because like someone explains it like later on.
Well, I think because I skimmed it and I know sort of the context of why Miura did not want to include it it's just because like it gives away too much of the plot and the world, and it would have hindered him from being able to like do things that he wanted to do, because people would have just had the answers to those things as far as like the world and why those things happen in this world. And so instead of like putting himself in a box, he realized like, yeah, I don't if I just take this chapter out, I don't have to be confined by my own rules.
I did like it. I laughed kind of out loud because he's it's like this unworldly like a little like spiel of how his life is going to go and how it's going to end up and why he's there and blah blah, and then he's like, okay, yes, I understand, yes. Griffith's like, okay, got it. If that's the case, I want wings. He's like, I can have anything, I want wings. And it's funny, but then I took it like, okay, this is the ultimate, like, I want wings so I can soar even higher than I'm at right now.
I like that they
to be above everyone.
Well, yeah, from his wings having been clipped. Now he wants to fly.
Now he wants to fly higher than he ever has before.
I like that they gave him bat wings, and it's like, my whole thing is hawks.
Yeah, I know he has the talons, though.
Yeah, he has the hawk talons. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are...
And this is like a dumb little nitpick, but like the other girl kind of has wings too, right? Or is that just like
she has like actual back wings though? Like his are like a cowl.
Yes. And regardless of how like awful Femto is as a creature, his costume's pretty badass, dude.
Yeah,
he looks pretty sick.
It's pretty scary.
Yeah. I think we should just read maybe one or two more. For the sake of time, before we get out of here. This is one. No, let me find. You pick one. I got one. I want. You got one?
I have the last comment that I want to discuss.
Do you know who yours is from? Because I have one here from La 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 Rose. And their comment is this, and I saw this comment come in and I was a little baffled by it, and I just want to know sort of where your heart's at when you sent this. La 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 Rose, if you're listening or watching. The comment is, yes, except the king really did want to get with his daughter.
Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to discuss. What do you mean except?
We were
who made it seem like he didn't want
We were kind of talking about how like it was like, oh, that'd be insane. like that would be insane if he did actually want that. But we were saying yes, that's what happened.
It wouldn't be.
Not only would it be insane, but it is also insane.
Yeah, like
and how like we wanted it to not be the case.
True, but
But I don't see in what world you heard us be like, that's horrible that he's doing that. And you see him like grabbing, you're describing what's happening. We're all like, oh God.
It didn't happen though.
Or no, to say like, no, that is horrible and crazy, but he really does. I think like, you guys aren't understanding that he really does want to be with her.
It wasn't hinted at. It was shown.
Yeah.
This isn't like...
And talked about.
I don't see how you could hear us talk about like, oh my God, how horrible.
And who would argue that? I mean, he's literally like there's a shot where he's like on her, making this creepy face, like undressing her. And do you think there's even one person out there?
No, he doesn't want to.
Who's like, I mean, but no, I mean,
see, because the comment is yes, but he actually does want to get with her, which implies the previous thought before that was like us being like, he doesn't want to get with his daughter.
Yeah, there's no way.
That'd be weird. We didn't say that. Unless I blacked out.
We might have.
Yeah. But yeah, that's wild. Of course. Of course.
We gotta.
He wants to be with her. Yeah.
Yeah. How about we correct you in the correction corner and say we said that.
And what a fitting way to end, dude. And let me just say this again.
No.
I hate. I hate ending, like, you know, when we do these volume duns, it's so hard to end them because it does feel like an emotional, it's an investment in our like time and energy. And, you know, just to get to the end, it always just feels,
empty.
It feels like, you know, it feels sad, you know, like I want to keep talking about this series. I want to keep reliving it. Like not, you know, some parts, you know, I don't need to relive.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just been an amazing experience. Thank you, I mean, guys, for everybody who's watched all the Berserk videos, all our previous videos too, but specifically these videos and commented on them and just like been so kind. Like, I mean, I feel like the fandom is so kind and the understanding and correcting little things like Judo's name and, you know, the mythology of fairies and just like little things throughout. Elves, yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, little things.
The only comment that has upset me from the fandom being like, which is like, we were wrong on a handful of things, maybe more than a handful, but it was nice. It's just like, that's not what happened. This blah blah. Very nice. The only comment that upset me is the guy saying, "No, yeah, he wanted to get with the daughter." Like we didn't have a conversation about that.
Yeah, maybe you know, maybe he's just speaking of a world of mystical, fantastical creatures. Maybe we encountered a troll.
Oh, good one, Josh.
Sure.
Megan liked it. Cody didn't like it.
I liked it.
But yeah, thank you guys.
Comment causality.
Thank you for you know, going on this journey with us, experiencing this with us. If it was your first time, if you were reading it along with us, if you'd read it before, or if you still haven't read it, I mean, anybody who hasn't, again, I don't know why you would be watching this, but if for whatever reason there is somebody out there who is doing that, then read it. And everybody else, like, thank you guys so much. And this has been so fun, and to experience it with you guys too, and talk to every.
So we came second to
third
to everyone else.
Third.
Oh, okay.
Third, yeah. So yeah, thank you guys. Thank you guys watching and listening, and thank you guys, Cody and Megan. But I think that's gonna do it for our long journey. Our long journey has come to an end. It's not a permanent end. We will be doing this again, probably for the Conviction arc and other arcs to follow, but we will be taking a little bit of a break to just review and to consume other series and do other volume duns too. We're still tossing around what we might do next. But as always, we appreciate every single one of you every week. We have to shout out, of course, our beautiful, 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 beautiful Patreon members. You guys are amazing. Thank you to everybody who has recently joined as well. We'll be talking about it more lately, but...
And I'd like to give we said like, oh, you can DM us and like ask us questions and stuff. Someone actually did like a month ago to me, but I never check my messages because it's usually spam. Yeah. Which the highlight of that is you see like, oh, there's a group message chat with like fake models, and I'll see like someone I know like actually replied. Yeah. But yeah, Jumpy Boy asked me a question like a month ago, and I didn't respond until recently. But I'll actually be on guard for. I didn't expect people to actually talk to me. So
yeah. And that'll be a thing too. That if you don't get a response right away, hopefully we'll be able to get to it eventually. As soon as we can, as soon as we notice it. But yeah, so thank you to our Patreon members. If you want to become a Patreon member, we're doing a lot of new cool stuff over there. New bonus Patreon exclusive podcast, fun stuff, cool stuff. You can join by going to patreon.com/volume1pod. And I think that's it. Again, like, I don't ever have a problem ending any other episode, but ending this, it's just hard to end because of just like the journey it was. But we have to end it sometime. So all we have to do now is get out of here on our outro that's always the same and never changes, which today I think should be. What do you think it should be?
Activate your eggs.
Activate your eggs. I mean, it's not bad. Cody, I usually...
It's lower mid-tier.
Yeah. I'm not calling it shit. I'm not going like...
I don't like the implications, too.
I'm just trying to get it started.
Okay. I really appreciate that.
You know?
Okay.
But I'll say, at best, a 4.
Okay. We could just scream.
Total Eclipse of the Heart?
We could just scream, Griffith!
You didn't even believe in that one.
Griffith?
I don't...
Is anyone alive? Corcus!
We could just go, Griffith!
Judo!
You know, because I feel like,
Pippin!
we're all like after him
sad
now, all the strugglers. Strugglers?
How about shout out to, or keep on struggling?
I mean, I guess. There's like... It's kind of like this.
Dream on.
Dream on. I mean, some guy like killed a bunch of people to accomplish his dream. A lot of people did, actually.
Yeah, this is a very anti-dream story so far.
Yeah. Come on, guys. We got this.
Nosferatu. Nose for y'all too.
Skull Knight and Good Dreams.
All right, I like it.
And
we got it. And we got it.
Let's wrap this up.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. And until next time,
Skull Knight and good dreams.
These are